Siman Aleph, Sif Yud, Beis Shmuel, Sif Kotten Chaf Aleph, Rabbeinu Gershom, Hichrim V'chulu. The Beis Shmuel is going to discuss the reason, the motivation behind why Rabbeinu Gershom implemented and instituted his cherem. So Atam Mavur Ba'Agos Mordechai de Ksuvis, the reason is explained in Agos Mordechai and Ksuvis. The reason for the cherem that a person cannot marry two wives, the cherem against polygamy is mishum ketata, is because of ketata, of conflict and strife, that marrying another wife brings with it conflict and strife. Also the fact that we live in very precarious times in Galus. Yidden in Galus live in precarious times vis-a-vis their financial stability. In other words, as the Lashon of Chazal, our wealth balances precariously al keren tzvi, on the horn of a tzvi, and it could easily we could easily lose our wealth. So therefore, even if a person has the wherewithal to sustain and support two families, two wives, nonetheless, because this could change very rapidly, there's no consistency, and therefore it could create all sorts of ketatas and all sorts of hardship, besides the emotional and psychological issues of sorrows, of different wives, sister wives. So for all these reasons, Rabbeinu Gershom was made his takana and the accompanying cherem. V'lo mishum drara d'isura. These, of course, would all be practical reasons and not drara d'isura reasons. They wouldn't be an isur d'oraisa. There's no isur d'oraisa here that he set up. Often a cherem could be viewed as an isur d'oraisa, because when people made a cherem, they also made a shvur d'oraisa, and they bound the community to the cherem with this type of shvur, and this shvur brings everybody into it and under it. And therefore a person who transgresses or contravenes the cherem also automatically is being over on an Issa Deraisa. Because of B'darkei Moshe, and the Darkei Moshe says that the nafkamina between these two reasons, whether it's katata, which the Agos Mordechai believes it is, or whether it's Derara de Isura, the Darkei Moshe writes that the nafkamina is mizeh heicha de ika pluksa b'takanta. If not everybody agrees that the takana is currently in effect, so then if you say that it's based on a drabanan, then hamekel lo hifsid, a person who's mekel wouldn't lose anything, kimiteleka chashash isur, because there's no isur d'oraisa. Normally we say isur drabanan lekula, sveika drabanan lekula, and sveika d'oraisa lechumra. So if we say that the reason that a person who transgresses the cherem brings ktata on himself, that's the reason, so that's only drabanan. So then the isur is a drabanan isur, it's forbidden drabanan, and you could be mekel. If it was drara disur, then you would have to be machmir. Gam kosav, the Darkei Moshe also writes that achshav, in our times, acher elef chamishi, after the elef hachamishi, the 5th millennia, where many consider that the cherem has a built-in time expiration date, which is the elef hachamishi. So kvar kilo hazman, we've already passed the expiration date of that cherem. It was a 1,000-year cherem, and that ends at elef hachamishi. Umikan ve'elach eina ela minag. So from now on, if we keep the monogamous behavior that the community is accustomed to, and we don't allow polygamy, it's because of a minag, not because of the original cherem. Shenagul lahachmir, because we're now noiheg, we have the minag to be machmir. Ve'ein, however, even though it's only a minag, ve'ein ata reshai lahata bifneim, you can't be matir somebody to enter into a polygamous relationship. But still, since it's only because of ktata, lachein b'makam sveika ma'amidim al din Torah. If there's a safek, like now, where there's a safek if the cherem still applies, there's a safek if the cherem is deraisa, and the cherem is ktata. So then we ma'amidim al din Torah, and we allow the couple to remain married, because there's the din Torah allows that. Also, this would apply b'makam mitzvah, for example. If there was some mitzvah that a person had to get married to somebody else, and he was already married to one person, like I guess the case of Yavama, then also, since it's only because of Ktatus, it's only Drabanan, you would be allowed to put aside the Cherem in order to fulfill the mitzvah. We'll see more about that later. Also, another important thing to bear in mind is that this applies exclusively to the part of the Cherem which discusses marrying two women. So the Isser of Noisa al Ishtoi, the Cherem of Noisa al Ishtoi, that is where that's where it applies. But the other famous part of the Cherem de Rabbeinu Gershom, where he said that you cannot force a woman to get divorced, that didn't have, according to most opinions, there's a Noida B'Yehuda in Even Ezra at the beginning, Siman Aleph, in Madura Kama. The Noida B'Yehuda says that he says that there's no mention anywhere that the cherem of forcing a woman to get divorced against her will has an expiration time limit by which it expires. Also, you see that Bichlal, the part of the cherem not to force a woman to get divorced is a more machmir part of the cherem than the part of the cherem that you can't marry, that you can't enter into polygamous relationship. The reason is clearly mentioned in Shalos Teshuvas Haran, Siman Lamed Ches, where the Ran says over there that the clear fact that it was that the polygamous cherem was not accepted by Sephardi communities, and it was only accepted by Ashkenazi, while forcing a woman to get divorced, not to be able to force a woman to divorce against her will, is a universal practice amongst both Sephardim and Ashkenazim. So that also proves that is a more strict part of the cherem.